Bhagavate Vasudevaya Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiriye Nashtaprahishu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavate Sevaya Bhagavati Uttam Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki. So continuing with the discussion on Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita Adi Lila, today we're starting a chapter, chapter 13, the advent of Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Text 1 onwards. Saprasidato Chaitanya Devo Yasya Prasadata Tallila Varnane Yogya Sadhya Syad Adhamo Apiyayam. I wish the grace of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, by whose mercy even one who has fallen can describe the pastimes of the Lord. So even Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami is begging for the mercy of the Lord to be able to describe his pastimes. To describe Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu or Lord Sri Krishna, one needs supernatural power, which is the grace and mercy of the Lord. Without this grace and mercy, one cannot compose transcendental literature. By dint of the grace of the Lord, however, even one who is unfit for a literary career can describe wonderful transcendental topics. Description of Krishna is possible for one who is empowered. Krishna Shakti Vina Nahitar Pravartan. So without mercy of Krishna, one cannot preach. Unless endowed with the mercy of the Lord, one cannot preach of the Lord's name, fame, qualities, form, entourage, and so on. It should be concluded, therefore, that the writing of Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita by Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami manifests a specific mercy bestowed upon the author, although he thought of himself as the most fallen. We should not consider him fallen because he describes himself as such. Rather, anyone who is able to compose such transcendental literature is our esteemed master. So Krishna Shakti Vina Nahe Tara Pravarta. Without his mercy, one cannot preach his name. So we should not be envious of anybody who is doing well. In fact, anybody in bhakti, he is doing well anyway, whether we see it or not. So we should not be envious. If somebody has got some way he got Krishna's mercy, whether preaching or whether management or anything, any other service, cooking, cleaning, whatever. Material world, everybody is envious of everybody else. And enviousness is what? If somebody has, say, somebody has a better job than I do, or more money than I do, then I become envious of him. But not understanding in the material world, if he has a better job or more money or whatever better qualities he has, means in the previous life or some of the more lifetimes, he has done plenty of pious activities. Plenty of them. And so he's got some things better than I do. So instead of being envious, so his pious activities and Yamraji or whoever decided for him to have a better this or that, should we just think like that? So if I want to achieve something like this, I better do pious activities. Simple. Whether in this life or whether I get in this life or next life, who knows? Now, when we are in spiritual line, if somebody is getting some results or good, whether he's a good preacher or other ways, then he's got mercy of Krishna based on his surrender or devotion service. So instead of me getting envious of somebody, we should be thanking Krishna. See, Krishna is so merciful on this note. And if I serve him, maybe Krishna will be pleased with me. And at the same time, we should not be asking Krishna, okay, make me a good preacher, make me this, and make me that. No, just make me a good devotee. Whatever you want me to do, I'll do. And the best way to get rid of envy, one is knowledge, scriptural understanding, and second is by service. But we become envious, we try to put that person down instead of glorifying him. And we think we have done a best service for Krishna. How does it add up? Instead of service, this is a disservice. And then we have created karma for us. We have committed offense in the process. So how are we going to make progress? So Prabhupada, this is where, with this shloka, Prabhupada quoted many times, because he himself said so many of his God brothers were envious of his success. Prabhupada can say that. We cannot say about his God brothers or anybody else. It's just we got to be careful ourselves. We have to see where, if I'm getting envious of somebody or not. And then we should be able to stop it right there. Jai Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Gaura Chandra Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Jaya Nityananda. All glories to Shri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, all glories to Advaita Chandra, all glories to Lord Nityananda Prabhu. Jaya Jaya Gadadhara Jaya Srinivasa Jaya Mukunda Vasudeva Jaya Haridasa. All glories to Gadadhar Prabhu, all glories to Srivas Thakur, all glories to Mukunda Prabhu and Vasudeva Prabhu, all glories to Haridas Thakur. Jai Damodar Swarup Jai Murari Gupta Ei Sabha Chandrodaya Tama Kaila Gupta. All glories to Swarup Damodar and Murari Gupta. All these brilliant moons have together dissipated the darkness of this material world. Jaya Shri Chaitanya Chandrera Bhakta Chandra Ganam Sabara Prema Josnya Ujjval Tribhuvanam. All glories to the moons who are devotees of the principal moon, Lord Chaitanya Chandra. Their bright moonshine illuminates the entire universe. In this verse, we find the moon described as Chandra Gana, which is plural in number. This indicates that there are many moons. In Bhagavad Gita, Lord says, Nakshatranam aham shashi, among the stars and the moon. All the stars are like the moon. They're not the moon, but they're like the moon. Western astronomers consider the stars to be suns, but Vedic astronomers, following the Vedic scriptures, consider them moons. The sun has the ability to shine powerfully, and the moons reflect the sunshine and therefore look brilliant. So there is only one sun because it has its own sunshine. Moon reflects the sunshine. So Bhagavad Gita, it says, Nakshatranam aham shashi, among all the stars and the moon. So all the stars, they reflect the sunlight. They don't have their own sunlight. So that's why they're all considered as moons in this respect. The sun has ability to shine powerfully, and the moons reflect the sunshine and therefore look brilliant. In the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Krishna is described to be like the sun. The Supreme Powerful is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Shri Krishna, or Lord Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And his devotees are also bright and illuminating because they reflect the Supreme Sun. In the Chaitanya Charitamrita states, Krishna Surya Sama Maya Hai Andhakar. Yaha Krishna Taha Nahi Maya Radhikar. Krishna is bright like the sun. As soon as the sun appears, there is no question of darkness or nations. Similarly, the present verse also describes that by the illumination of all the moons brightened by the reflection of the Krishna sun, or by grace of all the devotees of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the entire world will be illuminated despite the darkness of Kali Yuga. Only the devotees of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu can dissipate the darkness of Kali Yuga, the ignorance of the population of this age. No one else can do so. We therefore wish that all the devotees of the Krishna consciousness movement may reflect the Supreme Sun and thus dissipate the darkness of the entire world. So, it's a nice simile or analogy Krishna Kaviraj Goswami has given. He says, all glories to the moons who are devotees of the principal moon, Lord Chaitanya Chandra. So Chaitanya Chandra, he said. So he is already a moon, principal moon. Because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, although he is Krishna himself, but he never said, I'm Krishna. He always said, I'm a devotee of Krishna. So why moon? Because moon gets the light from the sun and reflects it to the rest of the universe. So similarly, the knowledge and everything else comes from Krishna. Bhakti comes from Krishna, and that Mahaprabhu is distributing everywhere. And similarly, all the devotees following Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, they also dissipating or reflecting the mercy that is coming to them, the knowledge that is coming to them, to the rest of the world, so that everybody can become, can get rid of the ignorance, can become enlightened. So this is our service, to give out this knowledge. Prabhupada has given us everything. We just have to distribute this knowledge to everybody. Eita kahila grantharambe mukh bandha, eve kahi Chaitanya Lila krama anubandha. Thus I have spoken the preface of Chaitanya Chaitamrita. Now I shall describe Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's pastimes in chronological order. Prathameta sutra rupe kariya ganana, panchetaha visutari kariba vivram. First, let me give a synopsis of the Lord's pastimes. Then I shall describe them in detail. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Navadvipe Avatari, Ata Chalisa Vatsara Prakata Vihari. Lord Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, adventing himself in Navadvip, was visible for 48 years, enjoying his pastimes. Choda Shat Sat Shake Janmera Pramana, Choda Shat Panchane Haila Antardana. In the year 1407 of the Shaka era. So Choda Shat Sat. So 1407. That is AD 1486, according to English calendar. Lord Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared, and in the year 1455, Shaka era, and AD 1534, he disappeared from this world. 24 Vatsar Prabhu Kaila Grihavasa Nirantar Kaila Krishna Kirtana Vilasa. For 24 years, Lord Chaitanya lived in the Grihastha ashram, household life, always engaging in the pastimes of the Hare Krishna movement. 24 Vatsar Sheshe Kariya Sanyasa, Ara 24 Vatsar Kaila Nila Chalevasa. After 24 years, he accepted the renounced order of life, sannyas, and he resided for 24 years more at Jagannath Puri. Tar madhya chaya vatsar, gamana gamana, kabhu dakhin, kabhu goda, kabhu vrindavan. Of these last 24 years, he spent the first 6 continually touring India, sometimes in South India, sometimes in Bengal, and sometimes in Vrindavan. So when he went to Jagannath Puri, first he left for South India. So 2 years he spent in South India. And then he came back in Jagannath Puri. Then he would sometimes go to Bengal and sometimes to Vrindavan. Ashtadash means 18. Ashtadash Vatsar Rahila Nila Chale, Krishna Prema Nama Mrite, Pasaila Shakale. For the remaining 18 years, he continuously stayed in Jagannath Puri, chanting the nectarian Hare Krishna Mahamantra. He inundated everyone there in a flood of love of Krishna. Gar haste Prabhu Lila, Adi Lila Khyana, Madhya Antya Lila, Shesha Lila, Raduinam. The pastimes of his household life are known as the Adi Lila, or the original pastimes. His later pastimes are known as the Madhya Lila and Antya Lila, or the middle and final pastimes. Adi Lila Madhya Prabhu Riyate Kacharita Sutra Rupe Murari Gupta Karila Grathita. All the pastimes enacted by Lord Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in his Adi Lila were recorded in summary form by Murari Gupta. And those Murari Gupta, it's called Murari Gupta Kadach. And based on that, Lochan Das Thakur wrote Chaitanya Mangal. Prabhu ye Shesha Leela Swarupa Damodara Sutrakari Granthi Lena Granthera Vitara. His later pastimes, the Madhya Leela and Anta Leela, were recorded in the form of notes by his secretary Swarup Damodar Goswami and thus kept within a book. Ei dui Janera Sutra Lekhiya Shuniya Varna Nakarena Vaishnav Krama Ye Kariya. By seeing and hearing the notes recorded by these two great personalities, a Vaishnava, a devotee of the Lord, can know these pastimes one after another. Balya Poganda Kashor Yavan Chari Bheda Atevadi Khande Leela Chari Bheda. In his original pastimes, there are four divisions: Balya, Pogand, Kashor, and Yavan. Childhood, early boyhood, later boyhood, and youth. Sarva Shadagun Purnam Tam Vande Falgun Purnima Yasyam Shri Krishna Chaitanya Avatirana Krishna Namabhi. I offer my respectful obeisances unto the full moon evening in the month of Falgun, an auspicious time full of auspicious symptoms, when Lord Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu advented himself with the chanting of the holy name Hare Krishna. Falgun Purnima Sandhyaya Prabhur Janmodaya Sei Kale Deva Yoge Chandra Graham Lahaya. On the full moon evening of the month of Falgun, when the Lord took birth, coincidentally, there was a lunar eclipse. Devi Yogi, actually, in the verse it says Devi Yogi. It's all arranged by the demigods. That there was a lunar eclipse that time, although he appeared on full moon day. So why there was lunar eclipse? Hari Hari Bale Loka Harshitahaya Janmila Chaitanya Prabhu Nam Janmaya. In jubilation, everyone was chanting the holy name of the Lord Hari Hari. And Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu then appeared after first causing the appearance of the holy name. So in jubilation, actually when there is lunar eclipse, nowadays everybody has forgotten everything. But in villages, there's still tradition now. Lunar eclipse, solar eclipse, they go take bath in the rivers or ponds. And while taking bath, they will say Hari Hari or chant the names of the Lord, whatever they are supposed to. But in Navadvip, so people at that day when Mahaprabhu appeared and it was lunar eclipse, they were taking bath in Ganges and they were chanting the names of Lord, Hari Hari. And now the Muslims, they don't follow this tradition. So there were many Muslims there also. Later we'll read about them. And they were making mockery of Hindus chanting Hari Hari. And they were also saying, oh, look at these Hindus, they're chanting Hari Hari, Hari Hari. So in all this, amongst all this chanting of Harinam, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared. So even before he appeared, he established the chanting of the holy names. Informally. Formally, he did it later. But this is how he appeared. Janma balya pauganda kashor yuva kale Hari naam layo ila Prabhu nana chale. At his birth, in his childhood, and in his early and later boyhood, as well as in his youth, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, under different pleas, induced people to chant the holy name of Hari, the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Balya bhav chale Prabhu kare na krandan, Krishna Hari naam shuni rahe rodan. In his childhood, when the Lord was crying, he would stop immediately upon hearing the holy names of Krishna and Hari. So when the Lord was crying, so when he was a baby, he would cry. Mother Shachi would be going crazy. Why is it not stopping? Why Nimai is crying, he is not stopping crying, and the neighborhood ladies would come and see because Nimai was so beautiful, so attractive. Everybody wanted to be there, but now he's crying, he's not stopping. So then somehow some lady said, okay, Hari Bol, she said, and Nimai stopped crying. And then they knew this is the trick. To make him stop crying means chant the names of Hari. Or say Hare Krishna, and then he would stop crying. Atev Hari Hari Bale Nariyana Dekite Aishe Eva Sarva Bandhu Jana. All the friendly ladies who came to see the child would chant the holy names Hari Hari as soon as the child would cry. Gora Hari Bali Tare Hase Sarva Nari Atev Haila Tare Nama Gora Hari. When all the ladies saw this fun, they enjoyed laughing and called the Lord Gora Hari. So Gora Hari. From then on, Gora Hari became another of his names. So Gora means in this case golden. So he was a golden. He had golden hue, and Hari. So he always liked to chant names Hari, and he is Hari himself. But they didn't know. Ladies didn't. So they would just call him Gora Hari. Balyavayas yavat hate khadi dila, Pogandavayas yavat vivana kaila. His childhood lasted until the date of Hate Khadi, the beginning of his education. So when they give chalk in his hand, and his age from the end of his childhood until he married is called Poganda. Okay, I guess we can stop here. See anybody has any questions or comments? Okay, we all have a safe and wonderful day. Hare Krishna. Jai Shri Ram.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Hare